have audio.
All right. We don't want to scare
Okay, and you're live.
Oh, boy. Welcome to tonight's episode of Two Blind Mice, where if it can go wrong, it will. That's where
Hey,
we're
Phil.
running a little bit behind, guys. We were having some technical issues. My lovely wife, Mary, is having growing pains regarding her new phone. So we were kind of like messed up before we got going here.
Hey, Phil.
What?
We forgot to set up the green screen behind you.
Oh, well, today we're just going to leave it as is. It's one of those days. It's going to be that kind of show. All right. All right. You know what? This is what I'm going to touch. I love my wife, Mary. I love Albert. He's a great friend. But doggone it, all he do is complain about my voice. Either I speak too soft, I speak too loud, I speak too angry, I speak too cute. I don't know, whatever it is they complain. So I tell you what.
Never, ever will we say you speak too cute.
I've never said that either, so I don't know.
And you're supposed to be on my side?
Who said that?
You're my wife.
Well, oh, yeah, that's right. Continue.
Really?
The only other voice I hear, Philip, is me. And do you really want me to say your voice sounds cute?
Oh.
Well, it does cute. It does sound cute. Goes with the rest of the package. What can I say?
Oh, for goodness sakes. Move on.
It got you to marry me, didn't it? Anyway.
Move on.
Okay.
Marry your voice, honey. I'm surprised I ever heard you say, will you marry me? Anyways, continue.
It's one of those days, man. Wow.
I'll send you some flowers, Philip. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's go on and proceed with the show. It's got a couple of announcements to make. And we're going to talk about today's topic, the do's and don'ts of helping what I'm now getting used to calling a VIP, a visually impaired person. We all have our experiences, both good and bad, in trying to get around in life. So, but we're going to touch on that just to help those of you who are sighted and are not experienced in helping a blind person, some of the proper ways to do it, some of the ways that will make us less comfortable. So, but before we do that, let me make one announcement. And at the end of the show, I will make another announcement. It's a bigger announcement than the one I'm about to give. And the announcement that I got right now is we are now on Spotify. We got a podcast. We started it 2 days ago. I think 3 days ago.
I don't know. I wasn't in it. I have no idea.
Well, I did a podcast this morning at around 4 a.m. since I woke up at 3 a.m. I did a podcast and I explained why you were not on the podcast. So
okay.
If you want to know what I said, don't ask me because I ain't telling you. So go look for it first.
You're going to make me look this up on my computer and watch your podcast, aren't you?
That's for what happens when you call. You
Not
say,
you, computer. Sorry, my Echo responded.
Okay, now mine's going to respond. Anyway, you can search us, and according to Albert, there's about 2 billion podcasts called Two Blind Mice. Don't go looking for that. Go looking for the Two Blind Mice Show. That's where we are on Spotify. Eventually, I am going to change the name on Facebook to the Two Blind Mice Show, since that's where we're using pretty much on Spotify, YouTube, and something else. I just forget where it is.
We're on YouTube? When did that happen?
Well, that's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, so don't say we're on there because we're not yet.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
So we're on there now. If you don't, we're going to end up probably copying and pasting the links to these broadcasts on that podcast as well, along with a little bit of snippets that my wife and I are going to do every once in a while. As soon as I can figure out how to put her on as a guest on the podcast, we'll start doing that. If not, we're going to have to wait until she gets back home. Not being able to see, it's not easy, so we'll see what happens. So that's what we're doing. Now, let's move on before it gets too late, since we're already running a little bit behind thanks to the technical problems that we were having. Then I'll shut up now, just go on to the next topic. And today we are going to review the movie Elvis, not the one from 1975, the one from 2022.
Good movie.
Both of them now, so we could do either one.
So, one I can say on this movie, I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yep.
Great.
2 thumbs up for me.
I liked it.
Nope, I did too. So I think we're all in agreement. It's thumbs up.
Okay, we're done. All right, Justin, go ahead and get your 15 minutes of fame and tell us all about what you think about Elvis, because I got the funny feeling we're all going to agree.
Right. So just going to literary elements that I've seen right from the beginning that this film done well, and a little bit of folklore too, is the Colonel represents like that devil in the crossroads selling your soul to be a person of fame. Only it's a little bit of a twist because it does more of a real life interpretation of the temptations that not only people in the film industry and music industry does, it's also us in our daily life. You know, we never really have those huge bad decisions come up and go, hey, if you get rid of your wife and your kids, I'll give you all this fortune and fame. Because I would hazard to say 99% of people would be like, screw you, go home. But along the course of the journey, you just slowly sell away a piece of your soul before you realize that like you're standing alone and the only thing you have is the thing that's causing you to be alone. And I think this film done that in a really good light, but also going, I mean, it ties into Elvis' story very much, but it also puts a lot into what many children face when they have fortune and success, whether that be in film or the music industry or anything else that monetary success can be made. You know, I mean, there's Michael Jackson, there's LeAnn Rimes. I mean, like, I'm sure everybody can think of somebody whose parents were parasitic off of their children's fortune and fame. And I think this show brought that to light really well. But also, it brought to light just how cancerous the music industry is. And some modern examples of that is like Metallica and Taylor Swift, to where they have only just recently got the rights to the music that they wrote, that they put the compositions up. I mean, labels make more money than the artist does itself. So I think this film not only done a really good job of showing that and bringing it to light to the masses, but also showing a little bit of a backstory and insight of why Elvis lived the lifestyle that he did. So, but then going back to the movie itself and, you know, Elvis's story, I loved it because I think he portrayed what so many of us do as children is our dreams and ambitions is we want to make our parents proud. Like it don't matter if you have the best parents or the parent that's, you know, burning you with a cigarette and beating the fire out of you. You always have that drive to want to take care of your parents and make them proud. And you know, we see that in Elvis, and that makes him a little bit more of a human. You know, today, especially for people my age that, you know, grew up, Elvis had done long since been dead, and I didn't really fall in love with his music until my late 20s. But it humanizes him. And, you know, the same thing of him going through and basically turning into a whore, cheating on his wife all the time. It wasn't an instantaneous thing. It just slowly happened. And I think this movie does a really good way of putting you in Elvis's shoes. It lets you kind of feel what he was feeling and how he slipped into the situations that he did, which for me, it was like, yeah, that right there is one of those decisions of why I never wanted, you know, the spotlight, because I know how easy it is for people to be drawn into that type of lifestyle. Tom Hanks' performance, oh my lord, like he is a far cry from Forrest Gump. Like,
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And even from last week's movie, you know, I mean, he played a butthead in A Man Named Otto, but I mean, like, the Colonel is a whole new level. And I do have to applaud Tom Hanks' performance as this person, but him and the people that wrote the film also done it in a way to where you can almost sympathize with the Colonel. And while at least me, I see it as he knew what he was doing was wrong. He was just talking himself out of it. But you could almost step aside and go, okay, well, he is right. If it wasn't for him, Elvis wouldn't be the success that he is now. So can Elvis
Yeah,
really?
but
re-
Elvis wouldn't have been stuck in that hotel for 5 years either.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. But like I
Yeah.
said, it's a really good, refreshing take
Mhm.
on movies because I would say probably in the last 5 or 10 years, we've had a new change in cinema to where there's not clear cut good and bad guys. There's bad guys that are good and there's good guys that are bad. And it's really kind of up to the viewer to look at it and really kind of ask yourself who is the bad guy. And then, since all things point to the glory of God, that goes back to that passage that so many people halfway quote is judge not lest you be judged against the measure you judge against. Jesus said, let he who's without sin cast the first stone. And like this film does a really good way of displaying that, of going, okay, yeah, you can sit here and judge this person, but what would you do in their situation? How would you handle that differently? I mean, if you had the mafia beating the crap out of you because you had a tremendous gambling debt, I mean, would you basically put somebody in a guilty cage so you could pay off their debts? And it's not like he's suffering because he's still getting money. He's getting his lifestyle and his family funded. The only thing that's really he's unhappy about is not being able to go on world tour. So,
Yeah, but then he went around. He went and tried to sue him for $8 million if he didn't stay in the hotel. So I mean,
yeah,
he still was the bad guy. Period. In my book.
Well, speaking of Tom Hanks, okay, I'm going to admit this, and being not being able to see, I think I can get away with this. I didn't know it was Tom Hanks at all through the whole movie. That's how great a job he did.
I
yes.
caught a little bit of Tom Hanks's real voice, and I was like, I think that's Tom Hanks, but I wasn't completely sure until you told me after the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't until after the movie that I got on IMDb to look up some trivia and stuff on it that I read the cast, and I was curious as to who Tom Parker was. I thought it was another older actor. Turns out it's Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
like, what?
Here's my take on the movie. I don't know if he's done, but I always looked at Elvis in a different light, as if he was just a drug addict and he loved the life, and he was a show off type of guy. This movie brings you a whole different view of Elvis, to where he was raised very, in the back with all the colored people, and they influenced him. He was best friends with B.B. King and all this. I didn't know any of that. And then he got his own fame. But the problem I had is that everybody used Elvis, and nobody really showed that in the other movie, how much Elvis was used by other people. And yes, he was a people pleaser, but people just didn't know when to stop taking from Elvis, not even his manager. So that was how I felt about this movie. It put him in a whole different light to me.
No, absolutely. I shared your same views, and I think it was roughly a year. I guess right about the time this movie originally came out. So some trivia and stuff started popping up on my news feed, and I started digging in, and Elvis had a huge heart. I mean, there's like multiple accounts to where he would like pay for an entire diner's food, like not just one person, but everybody in the diner. I mean, he had a huge heart. It didn't stop with just the people that was around him, but I mean, like it was his fans, just random people. And you're exactly right. This film showed him in a whole entirely different light. And then, even his upbringing in the neighborhood showed a whole different light, because I'd heard bits and pieces from, comedians and stuff like that, making it like, Elvis stole the music from the black people. But like this movie helps you to understand, no, Elvis lived that lifestyle. Like he wasn't just some rich white kid coming to the ghetto and, soaking up their culture and music. No, he lives that.
He lived there.
Right, and that was a note that I made, just kind of for myself of this movie and also Elvis's life shows you that it doesn't matter what bad situation you're in, if you allow it, it can shape you into greatness. You know, and that's very much what happened to Elvis. His dad made a really bad decision, and his mother and Elvis had to pay for it. But good came out of that because Elvis allowed it to. You know, and as the Colonel said in the film, music was his superpower. So, no, I agree with you.
I'll tell you this much. I'm a couple of years older than you guys, so but I grew up with Elvis music in my house. My sister used to play his records, and so I grew up with him, and I listened to them as a kid, but I grew out of it. I wasn't a big fan of Elvis, but I have to admit, this movie has brought me back to liking Elvis as a person. You know, it did a good job of changing my mind. I'll say that much. I do have a spoiler alert for Albert, and Albert, you're not going to want to hear this.
Oh,
Napoleon Dynamite
Uh-oh.
has nothing to do with this movie.
Nope.
Do what now?
Not the actor that played Elvis.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Not.
It wasn't Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, no, not Napoleon Dynamite.
Sorry, Albert. Oh, he's
I
giving
don't know what
us
you're talking about, Phil.
he's giving us a silent treatment now. Don't hold that grudge. All right.
I have no
hey,
idea what
let's
you're
go.
talking about, Philip.
You're
What's
close
that?
to right, Albert. He did play in a bunch of kid movies before he done this film. So
He was on Nickelodeon and Kids and stuff like that before this movie.
yeah.
The actor.
All right.
But he's
All right.
not Napoleon Dynamite. No.
Let's go into tonight's topic. Let's go ahead and talk about that. The do's and don'ts of helping a blind person get around. This is normally, or this is really directed at public contact. Please don't get offended. This is not a chastisement or anything. We just want to bring awareness as to what to do and what not to do if you see a blind person having a little bit of difficulty getting around. And it does happen. Okay. We're going to share our experiences that we have had to deal with, and going to see if we can correct them a bit. Let me go. I'm going to go first. We're going to take turns, me and then Mary, then Justin, and we're just going to go take turns on this one. All right. Here's my biggest don't for when it comes to a blind person. Don't come up to them and just grab them and start directing a blind person. You just totally, there's a very good possibility and a strong possibility that you just disoriented the blind person. And we may have already picked the direction to walk to, and you come in and grab us thinking you know where we want to go. And we were thinking we're facing east. Now we're thinking we're facing southwest, but we're still facing east. So
Okay, Mike,
next. I'm not done yet.
Hurry up. Okay.
This is crazy. So please don't just come up and grab a person. The best way to do it is walk up to them, tap them on the arm. Don't just come up and yell at them either.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to be surprised no more than you do.
I got scared today. Somebody did that to me. Okay.
Wait, I'm not done yet. My God, you're a. Gee.
Sorry,
Somebody,
I don't want you to say the one I'm going to say.
well, I'm about to finish. Let me finish. Okay, give me a
Are you
minute.
done it?
Now the other one.
No,
Okay,
that's
so
fine.
anyway, yes, please just come up to us, tap us on the arm, and ask us, can we help you? And 9 times out of 10, if a blind person needs help, they will say that they do need help. So just be considerate of, because we can startle easily, believe it or not.
Yeah, no kidding. I jumped 2 feet today.
I'm not going to bring one up. I just want to make a side comment to what Albert said. How many times have sighted people like got startled and almost hit somebody? Like, if we have jumpy reactions, we ain't gonna see you. And like, if you grab us, that is a possibility that would be heightened if that's our reaction. So, it's not just for our safety, but it's for your safety too. If we have sticks that hurt.
For sure. Okay.
All right,
My
honey.
turn. Do not touch my cane ever touch my cane. My cane is part of me. It's like you're touching my husband. Do not touch my cane. Did I get that point across enough?
Leave it
I
alone.
don't
Albert.
like when people come up and try to direct you by pulling you by your cane. So if you want to come up and talk to me or direct me somewhere, like my husband says, tap me on the shoulder, say, hey, do you need help? I'll help you across the street. Don't grab me and pull me across the street. That you're being nice, you're actually scaring the crap out of me.
The best way to describe it, if you're a sighted person and you're listening to this, the best way to describe it is somebody coming up to you and putting their hand over your eyes. Our cane is our eyes.
Or
Yes,
directly
pardon me.
or directly touching your eyeball. Like that's a little bit more
Oh,
of
I
an
have-
astute
yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah.
that's please don't.
I'm a big person on do not touch my cane.
You know,
I didn't say do not enough. Do not.
I don't want to point fingers at anybody, but possibly some members of my church are watching this. About a month ago, I went up for prayer, and when it was time for me to walk back, the usher was kind to help me. His mistake was he grabbed my cane and started tugging on me.
No.
Okay, you don't do that. I'm not complaining. I'm just bringing awareness on that. So just to give you an example of why you never grab a blind person's cane. All right. Are you done, honey?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Justin, you're next.
So that one thing too, and it's just kind of going off of the themes of what the previous two was, is if you want to help a blind person, ask them, how can I help you? Because it's so much easier for us to go through and teach you how to do it versus correct you and how to teach us or how to help us. Because as Philip and Mary both said, like many times a blind person, we may look lost, but depending upon what person, they either may have just excellent cardinal directions, which that's north, south, east, or west, and they're able to keep a good running tab on it, or they may have an Apple Watch or something like that. But regardless, they know which direction that they're at, and there's probably 10 times more things going through.
We just lost Justin.
Oh no!
Can y'all hear me?
Justin, come back!
I'm here.
Oh, okay, there he is.
Okay.
Okay. So anyways, there's probably about 10 times more thoughts going through our head and just traveling than yours is. So when you come up and if you grab us or whatever that startled us, it's broke our thought process. So we're having to go from navigating to going, okay, who is this voice? Do I know this voice? They have just grabbed me. Is this person a threat or whatever? So that completely interrupts everything. To where as Philip and Mary both said, tap and then say, do you need some help? Because that tap alerts us, and then also the proffered help goes, okay, this is somebody trying to help. And then waiting for us to go, oh yes, please, I need to cross over the street. Here, let me grab your arm. So that right there has just saved us both about 20 minutes and then stress on that blind person.
Mm-hmm.
So wait for direction. That way we avoid grabbing the cane, or we avoid, somebody accidentally getting popped in the mouth. I mean, it's better for everybody involved if you say, how can I help you?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, now before I go on to my part of the deal, let me give a quick disclaimer. This is just advice. Don't take us to court if something goes wrong. We're just giving experiences on tips and anything like that. We're hoping to just bring awareness, which is what I'm working towards. Now because I said that, I forgot what I was going to talk. Oh yeah, on the flip side, okay, I got it. I'm not that old. On the flip side, there are a few navigation apps and devices that a blind person uses, and some of those you may not even know that they're using it. And those apps. I mean, GPS does it. But there's other apps like Lazarillo, Vector Trek Reader, and others that can take you right to the front door of a business. Now,
That's a new watch too.
Really?
That's a new watch. Well, yeah, it does navigation too.
And so we do rely on those, and it may not seem like you may be walking the opposite way on the sidewalk with us, and we're just tooling along. It doesn't necessarily mean we don't know where we're going. We are listening to directions in our either AirPods or headsets or whatever it is that we use. So keep that in mind. Don't always assume that
We're lost.
That we're lost. Now, on the flip side, this is towards the VIPs. Oh, and by the way, before I continue, if you're a sider or a VIP listening on the show, you can make comments, suggestions, feedback, questions. Feel free to post them. If you do this after the show, I'll read the comments and I'll answer your questions after we're done with the show. So anyway, I forgot what I was going to say.
You knowing about the surprise
The surprise?
tickets?
No, not yet. No, I'm not done yet. I have something to do with the VIP. And now or the getting around thing.
Okay.
I think I've lost my mind. So
Unless you see Mary dancing in a circle, she ain't lost.
what was it that Rod called her? She danced.
Stop dancing! Stop dancing!
And he finally got her to stop dancing, believe it or
Yes,
not.
I don't do that anymore at all.
Anyway, on the flip side, we use those devices to help us get around. We're not always lost.
Yeah.
And okay, now I remember what I was going to say. Thank you very much. This is for the VIPs out there. And this is something difficult to overcome. I think it's happened to pretty much everyone who is visually impaired or completely blind. Set your pride aside. It'll help you get around easier. And I'll admit, I've been blind for going on almost 20 years now. And one of the most embarrassing things for me to do was walk around with a navigation cane. And as my spiritual life changed, I came to realize that just like Moses had his staff, I have my white navigation cane.
Oh, that's right. You shall not pass. You shall not pass. Sorry, that's what I do with my cane all the time. People think I'm insane.
She does.
But that's nor here nor there.
She does. Set your pride aside. I mean, there's nothing wrong if you do ride share. There's nothing wrong with asking your driver to walk you into the office that you're going to. That's happened to me many times. Some of them will refuse. Here's a tip: file a complaint. They're not allowed to deny you accessibility. You're covered by the American with Disabilities Act. Same thing with guide dogs. They don't allow guide dogs in their cars. That's illegal. Complain. We're just needing help for a couple of minutes at a time. I don't think that's going to take much effort on their part.
If you report them, they will be suspended.
So
if you report them for not allowing your guide dog, they will be suspended.
in a recent visit that I had with a doctor, I walked in. I'd never been in there before. And the first thing I did is ask, if anybody's in here, can you please tell me where the receptionist is? One gentleman came up to me. He actually did the whole thing the right way. He came up to me, tapped me on the arm, and said, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. Follow me."
Wow.
And it
Why
worked.
can't they all be like that?
I know. That was a perfect example of what to do. And he took me to the reception area. The receptionist told me where the chair was. I worked there, and everything worked just fine. I had to set my pride aside and finally ask for help. And a lot of times, that's what we need to learn as VIPs. We need to ask for help. We're not, we don't live in the world we're used to living in. So we need to. The only way we're going to help ourselves is by helping ourselves.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with my part. Honey, do you have anything else?
Update from Chris Cole. Let's see, what did I do? Oh, I am trying to test out of keyboarding and going into Tech Essentials, hopefully by the 5th. Super excited to get out of keyboarding. We got a trip to the Capitol tomorrow. I might go, I'm not sure. To the state capitol. We're having graduation on Thursday, so we will be losing some people, getting some new in. That's about all that's happening here.
One thing I'll say about Mary is when she left, she was nervous. And I told her one thing: don't come back stupid.
Well.
And she isn't. She is just doing fantastic in her training. I'm very proud of her. I think she's doing great, more than she gives herself credit for. And by saying don't come back stupid, I'm joking. I stole that from an episode of Everybody Hates Chris. So I'm not saying Mary's stupid.
Try not to come back stupid.
No, don't come back stupid. So let's see. There's got to be other stuff that we touched about. That's why I'm trying to get a group of VIPs together so we can do a 1-hour session on this type of discussion that everybody can share their experiences. It's difficult. Schedules don't mesh. Some don't
Yeah,
want to do it.
Magarena's out of town.
Yeah, we were going to have Macarena come on the show, but she's vacationing up in Massachusetts.
Oh,
So,
lucky her.
yeah,
Oh, update on my daughter. Graduated, master's degree, on her way to Washington. She should be in New Mexico today, and she's doing great.
she's going for her PhD. Imagine that.
Going for a PhD in UW. Update on my daughter.
Justin, you got any
Yeah.
other advice?
Yeah, so this one's kind of for the visually impaired as well as people that's seeing. So for the visually impaired, like my experience, I do a lot of support groups on Facebook and stuff like that. It has some other blind friends. Like the frustrations that we have with the sighted world, it's not their fault. Like many times, and I witnessed this personally when I started losing my vision. I would tell people what was happening, and like you would just hear this freeze. And a lot of times, we as somebody that's blind, because we don't have that visual feedback, we don't know what their facial expression is, nothing like that. Our minds go to the worst, and that ties into what Philip was talking about, putting our pride aside. So many times, what's really happening is we tell them, "Oh, I'm going blind," or "I've lost my vision," and they freeze up because what's going through their head is they're imagining their life as a blind person, and their logical end thought is, "I would die." So then that person is faced with their mortality as well. And then it's going through, like, while they're trying to have all these thoughts go through, then it's looking at us going, "Oh my Lord, like, who is this person standing before me?" Because I know I would die. And if you have a good attitude, that perplexes them even more. So don't automatically assume the worst when you have an interaction with a sighted person. It does not mean that they're judging us. That does not mean that they don't want to help or anything negative. More than likely what it is they are using empathy, and they're putting themselves in our shoes. So myself, how I break that is I joke. Like one of my favorite things to tell is whenever I started losing my vision, the church that I was going to, pastor and his wife was doing their thing, and Carla was her name. She goes, "Oh, Justin, it's so good to see you." And I stopped deadpan. I'm like, "Really, Carla? A blind joke?" And like she's mortified. And then of course her husband, because me and his best friend, starts laughing. She elbows him and smacks me. And like that broke that tension. So like from there, number one, she knew that like I was a butthead. But then also that tension was gone. And she's like, "Okay, look, like he's not sensitive about it. And I've got to watch myself. Otherwise, he's going to embarrass me." So by us having that positive outlook, it makes them more approachable, because it's like, okay, this person is lighthearted. I'm not going to offend them, because that's something we have to worry about in our culture. Is everybody gets offended by everything. Everybody gets canceled. They get sued. So by us letting them know, hey, yes, I'm blind, but I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to laugh about it. Then that makes them open up to a dialogue.
Yeah, I sit in the dining room with about 30 blind people, and you know what we do? We joke about blindness.
Yep.
You'll hear 30 people laughing at themselves. So if we can laugh at our own blindness, other people should learn to laugh with us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's okay to laugh with us.
Yeah, there's nothing at all wrong with having a little fun. Blind joke is like one of Albert's favorite jokes is, "Why don't blind people go skydiving? Because it'll scare their dogs." Really?
Well, so my three best friends, two of them they're both 51. One's a former minister and the other one's a fireman. And then my other best friend, he's in his 60s and he's a pastor as well. Every one of those men make fun, give me blind jokes left and right. And I give them old jokes as well, or, some type of joke. And initially people's like, "Oh my God." Like my poor friend Kenneth, he has made more of those little old ladies at church gasp and like, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And he's always like, "No, you don't understand what he said to me." So like us doing that and having that attitude, it breaks that stereotype that people have in their mind of blindness and helps bring us back into the world. Because, and this is something that I've just recently read and studied about extensively in college, is many people with disabilities, including us blind people, is the biggest barriers they have are those put on us by society. So by us showing that we are no different than they are, it helps us to help, or helps us to help them to help us. So just be open and honest and be willing to educate. And that way we're able to change from not only our community's disposition, but the rest of the community that's around us, and we're able to educate and to share as well.
I agree.
Here is one that I think is should be helpful in understanding a blind person. Is there are different levels of blindness.
Yes.
Not every blind person is the same as far as their vision is concerned. Me, all I see is a wall of gray, but at the same time, I can tell when a light in my house is on. So you also have people who do use a navigation cane and will need it to walk around, but they can read a book. You got people who are, totally and completely blind. Mary is a pretty good example of that. But the one thing you also need to realize is, as much as people are in their different levels of blindness, there are also those who are recently experiencing vision loss. They're dealing with the emotions behind it. Not many of you know, but I was a police officer for 17 years. My vision loss ended my career. It ended my marriage. It threw me on a financial dump. I mean, I got it all from all sides, and I won't deny it. I wanted to commit suicide. I almost did. The only thing that kept me alive was my kids. I was raising my kids on my own, to put it in perspective. And I went through it all. But again, the only way that I was able to come out of there was my faith in God. And I surrendered it all to him. And you've heard me, some of you have heard me say this previously. And I know it's kind of unusual for someone to say this, but I love being blind now.
Yes.
I enjoy it. I think it's fantastic. I meet some of the most fantastic people that I never met when I was sighted.
Amen.
And it's just I love my life. I love being married to Mary. Mary and I don't know what the other one looks like, and I did tell her that I do look like a 40-year-old Robert Redford. And
Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci.
Sorry, honey.
I opened that door.
Yeah, you did.
But the thing about it is that's who we are. Everybody has their different levels of emotion, dealing with their blindness, different levels of blindness as well. Don't think we're all rolled up into one little ball, because we're not. Every blind person is different.
Yes.
Keep that in mind when assisting, because some may actually be able to get around, but they still need a cane so they don't trip over something.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind, and that's the way it is. And I'm going to stick to my belief. I love being blind. I'm having a fantastic time.
Well, and just kind of want to piggyback off of that, Philip. Like, and this, I mean, it applies for sighted and visually impaired, but mainly geared towards the sighted. Don't automatically assume that we want to see again. Like, or don't automatically assume that somebody that was blind at birth wants to see, because like Philip said, he loves being blind, and I can back that up. I thank God that I lost my vision. It has made me a better man. I mean, first of all, it truly brought me to Christ. Amen. But it's made me a better man. I mean, I would not be on this podcast right now had I not lost my vision. Had it not been for the wonderful organization of Leader Dog, like me, Philip, and Mary, and Albert would not have came into contact. There has been so many people that I have got the blessing of meeting because of my vision loss. That goes from my eye doctors, the patients that's in the clinic. I mean, I've got friends all across the United States. And then like I wouldn't even be in college where I'm at now. And I'm really successful. I mean, I'm already a published poet and I haven't even graduated my associates. Like me being blind truly is the best thing that has ever happened to me. You know,
Yep.
don't automatically assume that we want to be fixed. And like I said, this goes to, for the blind people as well, of like look into positive aspects. Like life is what we make it, whether that be we're sighted or visually impaired. So
Yes.
more so just talk to people that's visually impaired or sighted. Just talk to us, because we can still learn from you just like you can learn from us. And if nothing else, we both walk away of you getting to learn a little bit more about us being blind. And then we get to connect with another person and go, oh, hey, everybody's not buttheads.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. When Mary and I first started attending the church that we go to right now, we'd get a laugh out of it. No offense to anybody from our church if they're listening in. We had to laugh. The first few times that we were at church, it seemed almost every service somebody came over to us, laid hands on our eyes, and prayed for our vision to come back. Almost every time. I mean, for maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks or visits that we had, and we accepted. Don't get me wrong, we accept the prayer, but you also got to remember what the Bible says about that. When the blind man asked Jesus, "If it be your will,"
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. When Jesus is ready, he'll give me my vision back. But in the meantime, I'm using what I got for his glory. Absolutely. I'm not going to roll over and die and just, let the whole world pass me by. No, I'm going to reach out and do what he's called us to do, be a servant. And the way I want to serve is by bringing awareness to blind, bringing information, resources, this kind of stuff. That's what I do. I love doing what I'm doing. I'm having a fantastic time. My wife and I were talking about something last night that we're considering, but it's very, very pre-planned, and maybe we'll discuss it at a later time. Let's see what happens.
We always got something brewing.
We do. We love to keep busy. So just we accept prayer, but we know we're going to get our vision back one day. You want to know why? This is how I fall back on. And the Bible says everybody's going to see the Lord coming through the clouds, just like we saw him leave. Or, that's what we've been told. So how's that going to happen? How's that going to happen?
Every knee's going to bow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the verse right there that I rely on for people with disabilities to always have faith in God is you can't bow before him if you can't get up out of your wheelchair. You can't see him coming through the clouds if you're blind. You can't declare his power and grace if you're mute. And you can't hear the trumpet sound if you're deaf. So you will get your disability taken care of when God's ready.
Well, Revelations also tells us that we'll have a new body. So like we will have new heavenly bodies. Paul says that this body that we're living in is a seed. So like we have no idea of like what our heavenly bodies are going to look like right now. So my viewpoint is let this seed shed its shell and let's grow.
That's right.
All right.
And we will be new.
All right, honey, you got any other advice?
No, I'm good. I'm just waiting for you to announce the other thing.
In a minute.
Well,
my white thing.
So I do have one. I do have one final one now about don't offering, don't grab us and stuff. That's where the caveat is just like you see us just, dancing along and we're walking on a train track or, where there's actual imminent death or bodily harm. Okay, pull us out of the way. Like we'll grab at you afterwards and then we'll feel like a butt going, oh crap, that wasn't a broken sidewalk. No, you moron, that was a railroad track. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
so, that's a sinkhole in front of us. Please tell me there's a sinkhole before I fall in it.
Yes.
That was a great one. That's a great way to end the discussion. I agree on that one. It's true. There are times you need to grab us, guys. So keep that in mind. Just assess the situation. If a train's coming at me at 50, 60 miles an hour, thanks. Pull me away. Uh,
Getting out the truck.
yeah, speaking
All right.
along those lines, I am going to work towards having a guest, probably our next show or soon after that. Came across this group called Strive for You, and they talk about defense, self-defense for visually impaired persons. I'm
Okay,
going to try
yeah.
to bring them on the show so they can go into more detail as to what they do.
Yep.
And frankly, the wheels started turning a little bit more. I do have a friend who is a martial arts instructor. I want to see if he can come up with a short, swift class on how a blind person can defend themselves in the event of some kind of physical altercation. I know it's kind of strange to hear say that, but believe me or not, there are people out there who will take advantage of a blind person. Thankfully, we've never had to experience it, but it doesn't hurt to be on the safe side. Okay, so before we close down, we're getting ready to close down. One quick announcement before I go into the major announcement, and that is that don't forget and share this with your Spanish-speaking friends. June 12th, we will start Two Blind Mice en Español. Should I do it?
What? What?
Goal!
Oh, God. Why, Phil?
I asked you.
I didn't know you were going to do that.
Well, ain't that a daisy?
At least I woke everybody that was falling asleep. That's for certain.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
Okay, we got a major announcement that I want to talk about before we close. Give me 5 minutes, I hope. And this is it. Okay, one thing that some of you may not know, earlier we said Mary and I keep ourselves busy. One of the things that we do have is this nonprofit charity we call the White Cane Project. Now, Mary is, quote unquote, the president of that charity, but since
Walk by faith, not by sight.
she is the charity slogan, motto, whatever you want to, motto,
Yes.
whatever. Since she's up in Austin doing her training, I'm doing the grunt work down here, and I just got bit by a
Grunt work.
mosquito.
Sorry.
Currently, we are doing a fundraiser locally where we are doing, we're selling tickets to a cheese enchilada plate dinner. And the reason I'm bringing that specifically up is one, yeah, I'd like for you guys to buy tickets. That'd be great. You're helping us because the funds that we raise on that is going to go towards the White Cane Project. It's not us doing it alone. We've partnered with our local Lions Club, which we are members of, and they're helping us do that fundraiser as well. So, thank yous go out to our Lions Club for doing that. We have a blog locally here called the Explore Harlingen blog. Now, Harlingen is our neighboring town where we live in. It's a town of about 70,000 people or so. And there's this one lady, which I'm really starting to call fantastic because she does a great job in promoting events, business openings and such in Harlingen. I asked her if she would allow me to post our fundraiser on there for the enchilada plates. And she said, yeah, sure. Why not? Boom. We did it. Fine. It's out there. Okay. So, but as much as we appreciate her doing that, something great came out of this that I did not expect. A local gentleman, and we're going to officially launch this on Friday, hopefully. A local gentleman has donated some sports tickets. 2 of them are to a Dallas Cowboys preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
And we decided to also include a one night's hotel stay as part of the package. He also mentioned that these are not nosebleed seats. As he put them, quote unquote, he calls them lower level seats. So it's either field level or mezzanine, which are not bad seats, guys. Now, likewise, he also donated 2 tickets for the Houston Astros regular season game.
Yeah.
We're looking at late August or September. He gave us different dates that we can select. We'll finalize it before we announce that.
A one hotel night stay.
And also another hotel night stay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do it all digitally, since pretty much everything happens that way. We are going to hold a digital drawing. We are going to be charging for a ticket. You can have as many entries as you want. It doesn't matter. There's going to be a ticket, quote unquote. Let's call it an entry. You can Cash App us, give us your information and your donation, which is really what it is. It's a donation towards the White Cane Project, and we're hoping to make good money out of this. And the reason, and because what the White Cane Project is we provide white navigation canes to people who cannot afford them. Now, in the U.S., you have all sorts of social services and government agencies that provide them for free, and they're pretty much readily available to pretty much anybody who is visually impaired. However, when you talk about Mexico, it's not easy. It doesn't exist almost. We have provided navigation canes to a school in the blind for the blind in Mexico City, to some here just across the border from where we live in. So we're focusing now on trying to figure out what is needed in Cuba. Our goal, and Mary doesn't know this, it just came across my mind, and with God's help and support, and I hope he agrees with us, we want to put a blind cane in every blind person in the world. That's what we want to do. We'd love to do that. So that's what we're going to start doing on Friday. We're going to run that drawing for about a month before we pick a winner, or actually 2 winners. And hopefully that'll help us financially. Now, if you do want to donate directly to the White Cane Project, you can Cash App us at White Cane Project or $ White Cane Project. Doesn't matter the amount. $1 is $1. We love it. $10,000 is even better. But we'll settle for $1. The great thing about it is, the White Cane Project is a nonprofit 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible. So let's see how we can do this. Anybody who does buy an entry into the drawing will qualify for a tax. It'll be a tax deductible donation, guys. So it's a win-win. Yeah.
We had a little technical difficulties, and I don't think the first part of your announcement got out there. We got as far as you talking about the White Cane Project, what it is and what you're looking to do, but I don't think I think we missed the part about your announcement.
Oh, the tickets?
It's been one of those days. Okay, well then let me recap real quick. We got tickets to give away. Is that good enough? No.
Raffle.
Okay. Oh, let me recap real quick, guys, and sorry for this. If we did not have a local gentleman has given us 2 tickets to a Dallas Cowboys preseason game and 2 regular seasons for a Houston Astros game. We're going to be raffling those off through a digital drawing, and we're going to include a 1-night hotel stay for each one of those games. So all you'll need to do is provide your own meals and your travel, and we got the rest covered. We're hoping that people do, here in Texas, unfortunately, it's all about the Cowboys.
Hey, y'all.
Cowgirls.
No.
You watch your mouth, son.
See what I mean? So I'm hoping that there's a lot of Cowboys fans out there that are willing to support what we do. And like I said, White Cane Project is a nonprofit charity, so all ticket sales, donations are tax deductible. So we'll help you out with that. Like I said, we're trying to get canes to pretty much everybody who needs it around the world. That is our goal. And it's a monumental goal, but with your support, I know we can do it. We are in the process of providing more canes to that school in Mexico City. Help us achieve that goal. And then let us take it from there to Cuba, South America, and so forth. I mean, let's let's get this going. I mean, guys, I know, we're talking earlier about what it's like to, help a blind person. This is a great way to help a blind person.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you imagine how many people are out there, as often referred to as the third world countries that cannot afford canes? The government doesn't provide canes, no social service, correct? How do they get around? It's hard to imagine.
Probably guided site, guided all the time, which doesn't give you any independence if you use a guided site. A site guided person all the time. You don't have any independence that way if you don't have a cane.
So
Just
we'll keep you updated. We do encourage you, especially if you're from out of state, you want to watch a Dallas Cowboys game, you want to take some time off, you qualify. This is not within. Heck, if you're in Mexico and you're listening to this, you can also, make a donation. Anybody you want to fly in from South Africa to watch a Dallas Cowboys preseason game, knock yourself out. Okay, it doesn't matter. There's no boundaries on this drawing. So we would appreciate it. We really want to grow on this one more than we've already done. We just want to keep it going because we do need to provide some canes, and we're working towards it. There's a lot more that Mary and I want to do. And if you think this is monumental, the other one that we were talking about yesterday is even more monumental than that. But God willing, it might happen. We need your help, guys. The White Cane Project. If you want to donate, $ White Cane Project is our Cash App name. If you want more information, you can email us at the twoblindmiceshow@gmail.com. I'll spell it out. THETWOBLINDMICESHOW@gmail.com. So we'll be glad to answer any questions. This is what we do. We love doing it. One last thing, I got a notification this afternoon about this teleconference, I guess you would call it. I don't know. It's a conference call. Company called OKO Technologies. They're introducing an app that they say helps you cross busy streets at traffic lights, keeps you within the crosswalk. I don't know. I don't want to give away too much because I really don't know much about it, and I don't want to research it because I want to hear it from them firsthand. I will put the information on the Two Blind Mice page with the contact information and how to get on. It's not Zoom. It's not live stream. It's just a regular telephone call. I'll put that up by tomorrow morning, so that way you all can go ahead and get the information for yourself.
Well, tell them when it is. It's Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, well, it is Thursday. Now, the email that I got says 7 p.m., but somebody did ask a very good question. Is it 7 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern? What? I will find out before the end of the day tomorrow, and I'll update the post. I would recommend this one because I think this is a good one. And if it's something that I want to promote, I will bring them onto the show also so they can go into more detail. And that way you can see it for yourself if you don't want to join the conference call. I think I've run out of breath. I know I'm thirsty. So I think after we didn't do so bad, we had a lot of technical difficulties getting on, but we finally got them sort of edged out.
Wait till I come home from Chris Cole. All that's going to stop.
This isn't the woman I met 4 years ago, guys.
I'm going to learn how to do it all on the computer.
Hey, Philip, you're supposed to fall in love with a new woman every day, so she's just making your job a little more testing.
Well, let me tell you, she was telling me that when she got back after spending the weekend here, everybody thought she was a lot happier. I'd like to take credit for that.
I was a lot less stressed out, that's for sure. But anyways, I think it was the Mexican food I had when I was there. We'll just leave it at that. All right, good night, guys.
Can you believe that she just chose me? She chose Botana over me, guys. Can you believe? I'm nothing more than a piece of meat to her.
Oh, those pieces were good.
Good thing about it, Phil, you're a beefcake.
Yeah, so there.
I'm out. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for being on the show tonight. See you in 2 weeks.
Hey, pause.
What?
What's the next movie, sir?
I have no idea. Let's talk about it after we sign off.
Okay.
But, okay, anyway, let me close. June 5th, 8 p.m., Monday, Central Time. Be here or be square. Be there or be square. It doesn't matter. Albert, send us home. Send us home.
Can I sing you home?
Yeah,